Let's get this webinar underway. It is now 9 o'clock. So good morning. Great to be with you this morning. I am Warren Munson, founder of Evolve, and I'm excited to be your host for this morning's webinar on breathwork. Firstly, I need to say some kind word of thanks to Basingstoke-and-Deane Borough Council for fully funding the festival and supporting the local Basingstoke-and-Deane local business community and economy. As a result of their funding and our collaboration with them, through that funding, all of the events that have been taking place over the past week have been free to attend. And actually, there's some follow-on events in September and October, and they're also going to be free to attend. So the funding forms part of the overall support being provided by Basingstoke-and-Deane post the pandemic to bring business owners, business leaders together. The objective of the overall objective of the festival is to provide business owners and leaders with additional ideas, innovations, inspiration, and connections to enable them and their businesses to succeed. And when we talk about success, we talk about personal success. Then actually what we've got to do and what we've got to think about is actually what does that mean and what other techniques and things we can do to enable greater personal success and enable us to be better business owners and business leaders. Now, for me, in my journey, starting, scaling, selling, exiting a number of businesses over a number of years, the one thing that I also neglected was my own personal well-being for a long period of time. And one of the things that I found made a great difference to me when I came across it and I implemented some of the techniques was breath work. And this is why I think it was so important to include within the program for the festival events a more mindful session on breath work. For those that are not familiar with Evolve, we are a community of business owners and business leaders. We all know that leading and running a business can be challenging. It's not a linear journey. It's a roller coaster ride with plenty of highs and plenty of lows. And our aim is to provide you with the business support, advice and guidance, and sometimes just a sounding board or a sympathetic ear to help you along your way and along your journey towards meaningful success for both yourselves and your organisation. Now, we do this through weekly articles, regular events, webinars such as this morning, and the Evolve to Succeed podcast, as well as specific learning development programs, peer groups, and workshops. We bring this together through the leadership community, and more perhaps about that a little later on. So let's get the webinar properly underway by me introducing our expert and presenter today, Tracey Howes. Through her own journey and story and experiences, Tracey realised the power and difference that functional breathwork brought to her everyday life, but also as a competitive freediver. As a result, Tracey trained as an advanced oxygen advantage instructor and now delivers functional breathwork programs in group sessions on a one-to-one basis, face-to-face or online. Now, I've undertaken, and part of my journey is I've undertaken one of Tracey's programs, and it was transformational. Therefore, I'm really pleased to introduce you to Tracey.
Thank you, Warren. While the presentation takes a deep breath, I'll just tell you the format of today's session. I'll discuss really how breathing affects our everyday health and how you can become more aware of your own breathing. We'll then talk briefly about how this impacts the work environment. And then the second part of it, we're going to do a series of breath awareness exercises together. So this will be interactive. And at the end, I'd take any questions. So let's kick off. Not yet. I must just say one thing. If we may do some short breath holds within our breath awareness practice. And if you are or think you may be pregnant, please do not hold your breath. So that is health and safety. Just waiting for the presentation to allow me access. While this resets, I'll just give you a little bit of background in terms of my own personal journey. As Warren said, I came to breathwork a few years ago. I had my own health concerns that I was dealing with, and I visited a 10-day silent meditation retreat, which opened my eyes to the power of nasal breathing. And that's when my journey started to research and understand why this made such a profound impact on my state of mind, my sleep, and my ability to control my response to stress. And freediving is considered an extreme sport for many, but I find it very relaxing. And the breath control techniques that I've learned have kept me very present, allow me to control my response to stress, and also to perform under pressure. And we can really apply a lot of these techniques from sport in our everyday lives and in the workplace. So that's me in my gear, loving being in the water and enjoying my sport. But what I'd like to do first and foremost with you all today is a little breath exercise to see how well you breathe. So I'm going to invite you to join me. We're going to do something called a body oxygen level test, or a BOLT score. And this is a very handy score to track your tendency for breathlessness. I usually recommend doing this first thing in the morning when there's less interference. And what you're going to do, you'll need your phone or a watch because you're going to time your breath hold. So I invite you, I'll just explain how you do this. You take a normal breath in through your nose. So just a simple inhale and a passive exhale. And then you're going to hold your breath for as long as possible and time yourself from the moment you hold your breath to the second you start breathing again. This is a very relaxed exercise, so there's no pressure for you to hold your breath till you're gasping. We don't want that. So it's inhale through the nose, gentle exhale, hold your breath and time yourself, and record how many seconds you can hold your breath for. So please join me and do that now. Make a note of those seconds, and we're going to come back to what the numbers mean a little bit later. So the key for breathing is becoming self-aware. You know, we all breathe differently based on our environment, our genetic predisposition, and our lifestyle. And just by simply to incorporate exercise into your life on a regular basis, learning to breathe properly should be an ongoing choice rather than something we do occasionally. So questions you can ask yourself. Number one, do you breathe predominantly through your nose or through your mouth? Number two, are you an upper chest breather or do you breathe from your belly? How big is each breath? Do you take in a large amount of air when you inhale, or is it very soft and insignificant? Do you have a natural pause after you exhale? And when you breathe, does your body physically move? Are your shoulders moving up and down, or is there no movement at all? These are all very helpful questions to start to see and understand how the body moves, which is the basis of learning how to breathe correctly, because each of us will have our own unique way. But before we go into good breathing habits, we need to talk about what are poor breathing habits or dysfunctional breathing. And these are generally a disturbance in our breathing patterns. So over-breathing, where you are yawning and sighing a lot during the day, perhaps you feel breathless, you have tension in the body, you have cold hands and feet, you snore perhaps, you are noticeably breathing when you are at rest. So the body is looking like it's really working hard to breathe. And if you are prone to asthma or anxiety, you have a higher risk of dysfunctional breathing because you are triggering your fight or flight response. Essentially, we have to train ourselves to concentrate. Now, when babies are born, they tend to breathe from the belly and the mouth is closed. And over years, we end up with bad habits and we tend to breathe through our mouth. And short, sharp breathing is going to cause friction in the body and inflammation in the upper chest. Learning how to slow our breathing down is a conscious decision that we make. And this is where the training comes in. If you are one of those individuals who are very interested in meditation, for example, or you would like to get better sleep, part of that process is learning how to slow your breathing down. For women, our hormonal fluctuations can have a major impact on our breathing. Progesterone levels reduce, and that causes hyperventilation and sleep disorders. But as soon as you start to become more self-aware and retrain the body and retrain the respiratory muscles, you're able to improve your movement. So if you have mobility issues, your diaphragm, which is the main breathing muscle, which separates the heart and lungs from the stomach and intestines, that is actually attached to our psoas, which is your hip flexor. So if you breathe poorly, it's likely that impacts on your movement. So by retraining your breathing muscles, you're able to improve your mobility. If any of you are into sport, you love to run, cycle, or perhaps you engage in team sports, if you're constantly mouth breathing, this is going to cause a loss of moisture in the upper airways and trigger what's called exercise-induced asthma. So if you've experienced this, the suggestion is to keep the mouth closed and only breathe through your nose when you exercise, which can take some training. So this begs the question then, if that's all of the issues around poor breathing habits, how do we breathe better? Functional breathing essentially is our day-to-day breathing. How you breathe when you're awake, how you breathe when you sleep, and how you breathe when you exercise. They all are connected, of course. And as I said before, self-awareness of mind and body is essential to help us learn how reactive we are to stress. And the three pillars of functional breathing is learning how to breathe light, so very softly, which we're going to practice together. This improves blood flow and oxygen to the brain. Slowing down our breathing, and this is going to enable us to become more resilient and respond better to stress. And breathing deep or low, so deep into the base of the lungs. And this improves our attention span and balances our emotions. So highly important tools for life more than anything. And I teach you how to slow your breathing down, how to use the nose and the diaphragm effectively, because the lighter and softer you breathe, the more relaxed you will be. And typically, if you feel stressed, you feel it in the upper part of the body. So that tightness in the chest, that feeling of just not being in control of the body. Your cortisol levels spike, and this affects your attention, your memory, your attention span, and then triggers anger and depression. So the power of learning how to manage your breath has far-reaching effects into your life, not just in the workplace. There's a myriad benefits of learning to breathe properly. Number one, asthma. My clients who have done work with me are less reliant on their asthma pump because their functional breathing improves. Diabetics, learning the LSD or light, slow, deep breathing I've just mentioned is going to reduce stress and improve lung function. Mobility, as I mentioned, the hip flexor is attached to the diaphragm. So your movement and your breathing are integrally connected. Female hormones, we are now more aware of how this affects breathing, and we can then put a plan in place to support ourselves during the menstrual cycle, menopause, and pregnancy. Dental health, crucial. By avoiding mouth breathing, you're not taking bacteria-filled air into your mouth and causing gum disease. If you've suffered with panic disorder or panic attacks, again, these breathing techniques help you to build more resilience and balance the nervous system. High blood pressure. By slowing down your breath, this can have a positive effect on arterial function, which is particularly key for people with type 1 diabetes. Sleep disorders, snoring, sleep apnea, insomnia, all of these can be alleviated by relearning how to breathe properly. And of course, last but not least, COVID. You can improve your lung function and your immunity by learning how to breathe correctly through your nose and use the diaphragm. But in terms of the workplace, it is the quote that I think really says it all. It is absolutely business critical that well-being programs are considered and implemented in the workplace. If 45 billion pounds a year is spent by employers because of poor mental health, we can take a preventative approach, not just for ourselves, but for our teams, for our colleagues, and create, as we call it here, the 5 dimensions of employee health, which is essential. And I think more than anything, if we want to have a healthy, productive workforce, really thinking about customizing well-being. So it's not just a tick box effect, something that, the senior management think this is going to be great and everyone has to do the same thing. That doesn't necessarily work for everybody. So having conversations with your team, or even bringing in a workplace well-being facilitator to do that for you, and create a bespoke program so that you engage all of the team, is really, as we say, it is critical to the success and adds a huge amount of value to the business as a whole, because you're taking this preventative approach. This is a picture I'm sure many of us are familiar with. I'm going to tell you a quick story about 2 of the most influential business people in the world, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They have a joint worth of 165 billion US. They're also very good friends. And Gates first met Buffett at a dinner party organized by Gates' parents. And the story goes that Bill Gates' mother asked everyone around the table to identify the one thing that was most important for their success. And both Gates and Buffett answered with a single word, and that was focus. Now, focus does not happen unless you have deep restorative sleep and optimal breathing. So that image, if you have a restless mind, you're breathing fast from the upper chest, it's going to impact on your sleep. Focus will go out the window. On average, we have around 70,000 unnecessary thoughts per day. I mean, who needs all of that baggage to carry around? So really part of what I focus on with clients is looking not just at the breath, but how that impacts the state of mind and impacts your sleep, because that working together is going to enable you to avoid this vicious cycle. Another key stat that I found, which I think is important to mention, is that poor sleep impacts our memory capability. And in 2021, a report found that midlife adults that consistently clock poor sleep habits have a greater chance of developing dementia later in life. So sleep is absolutely essential. So how can we support your teams? How can you support yourselves? These are just some ideas of how breathwork can be used in the workplace. So if you have a hybrid environment where you work from home and from the office, you can implement breathwork techniques to help with focus during the day. You can use them prior to Zoom meetings. I did a few breath exercises this morning, keeping me nice and calm. You could even provide breathwork techniques to help people transition from the end of the day at work before they go home, to help them relax and actually have a more enjoyable experience when they leave the office, rather than taking that stress home with them. Of course, public speaking. If you are doing a lot of talks, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's face-to-face, there are very particular exercises that I can teach you to help you keep calm, keep focused, and deliver, which is crucial particularly if you're doing a sales pitch. Job interviews, Of course, we naturally get nervous when we do have a job interview. There are, again, exercises you can put in place to help keep you nice and calm and come across confidently when you're in front of the interviewer. And let's not forget, we're all going to have tough conversations at some point, whether it's you speaking to your boss or whether you are the boss speaking to your team. How do you manage the nervous system using the breath so that you get your point across and it doesn't revert to anger or frustration? There are so many different techniques, which I'm happy to share with you separately. But, I would say one key thing is, without going into too much detail, if you are having a really difficult time at work and you just need a moment, stand up from your desk, go make a cup of tea, take 90 seconds for yourself, and keeping the mouth closed, just breathe very gently in and out through your nose. And by slowing down your breath, that's a real quick win to help rebalance your nervous system and get you back in control of your emotions. But the magic ingredient, and I say this to everyone, and it was something I learned and surprised me, but it's the nasal breathing. This is the key to making a difference. Just taking a deep breath is not going to make a difference, okay? Our olfactory system is directly connected to our brain. So when you breathe through your nose, you're essentially bathing the brain in oxygen, which is such a good thing. Our nasal cavity is much smaller than our mouth. So you're probably thinking, well, how does that work? Well, when you breathe through your nose, you create 50% more resistance. And what that does is it means you get 20% more ventilation. So 20% more oxygen going into your lungs, into your tissues, into your brain. And when you breathe through your nose, it's also antibacterial. It filters out the nasties, very important for helping improve immunity. There is a specific molecule that is only produced in the sinus cavity, and that is the magic ingredient, and it's called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide, if you've never heard of it, is a vasodilator. It's the kind of molecule you want to take to the party. And what I mean by that is it relaxes the blood vessels. It opens them up so more oxygen-rich blood will get into your lungs. That is not produced in the mouth. So completely shutting off mouth breathing and focusing on nasal is going to give you a much more efficient respiratory system, which is critical for improving your sleep, your dental hygiene, spatial awareness, focus and concentration, and reducing asthma symptoms. So the bottom line with nasal breathing is we should be breathing through our nose all the time, except when we eat, drink, talk, or we do short spurts of high intensity exercise. The rest of the time, nasal breathing. So let's have a look at our BOLT score results, or our body oxygen level tests. You're very welcome to pop your scores in the chat if you like. But essentially how this works is if you had a breath hold of up to 24 seconds, you fall into the dysfunctional range. I don't like the word dysfunctional. I think room for improvement is much better, because most people that come to me have a fairly low BOLT score in the beginning. And over a few weeks, we are able to shift that dial and improve it. If you are 25 seconds to 40 seconds plus, you are within the functional range, which means you are more likely to breathe from the nose using the diaphragm correctly. If you have a low score, so let's say you've had COVID, you have COPD, or any kind of chronic lung condition, it's very likely you will have a score between less than 10 seconds. Less than 15 seconds, you're likely experiencing irregular breathing in a high pressure situation. So you're more reactive to stress. If you're just under 20 seconds, your breathing essentially is holding you back in terms of your energy levels, your concentration, and your attention span. So there's room for improvement here with everyone. And if you're one of the few who are hey, I've got a great breath hold. That is cool. That's wonderful. But it's how do you maintain that? Because a score can go up or down, and it can be influenced by your emotional state, whether you've just had a big breakfast, how sensitive you are to CO2. Because CO2 is the trigger that gets you to breathe when you hold your breath, which sounds counterintuitive. Most people think, oh, I'm running out of air, that's why I have to breathe. The chemical way this works in the body, CO2 is a good gas. It's there to keep us alive. So when I do extended breath holds and free diving and I'm holding my breath, when I get that urge to breathe, it feels like a tickle in my throat, tightness in my chest, or a tickle in my diaphragm or tummy. That's the CO2 increasing in my bloodstream and sending a message to my brain saying, Tracey, you need to breathe. And you can shift that with time and with practice so that you become less reactive to stress. So I've urged you to continue doing the Bolt score as a measure for yourself. And by practicing the following techniques that we're going to do together now, you will learn how to balance your nervous system. You're going to improve your response to stress. You can improve your sleep quality and your body's ability to recover from physical exercise. So this is huge. This goes beyond just being able to, focus a bit more or, push a bit harder on the soccer field. This is tools for life. So that brings me to the end of the theory, as it were. And what I'd like to do with you now is take you through a series of breath awareness exercises. And I invite you to join me. You can sit comfortably in a chair. You don't need to be lying on the floor on a yoga mat. And we're going to start with the very first one, which is called clearing your head, or basically how to unblock your nose. And this is very important because if you have a deviated septum, or if, like me, you've suffered with sinusitis or rhinitis for years, or severe hay fever, you're going to feel congested. And the nose unblocking technique is a very simple way to help you through breath hold to generate more nitric oxide, our miracle molecule, in the nasal cavity, which is going to slowly open your nasal passages. So join me. I'm going to demonstrate it. I might take my glasses off for this. And I'm going to do it from the side. So it's very much the same as the Bolt score. You're going to take a gentle inhale through the nose, a passive exhale. Hold your nose and hold your breath, and you're going to nod your head up and down until you can't hold your breath anymore. And then when you can't hold your breath anymore, let go of your nose and breathe through your nose. So up and down. We'll do that again. You can do this as many times as you like to open up your nose. So inhale, exhale, hold your nose, hold your breath, and nod. Inhale through the nose. Now, if you have a low Bolt score, you might have to do this a lot more, because the lower the Bolt, the more congested the nose. The higher the Bolt, the less congested the nose. So that's a really simple trick to help you start to release any congestion that you have in the nasal cavity. The second exercise I'd like to do with you is all about the 3 pillars. So breathing light. Now, breathing light might sound abstract. So I'd like us to do a little practice session where you get a sense of what light actually feels like. If you take your finger, place it underneath your nostrils, just above your top lip, You can close your eyes if you wish, just breathing in very gently, in and out through the nose, as though you can hardly feel the air moving on your finger at all. The idea is to concentrate the feeling of the airflow on your finger. So soft, gentle breath in through the nose. Gently slow down the speed of your breathing. And as you breathe out, you should hardly feel any air blowing on your finger at all. The objective is to breathe less air into your body. So take a soft, silent inhalation and allow a relaxed, slow exhalation. Don't hold your breath, just keep it gentle. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Keep your tummy relaxed. Just in and out through your nose. And a measure that you are doing the exercise correctly is that you are going to feel like you want to take in more air. And this is where breath control comes in. Exposing your body to feelings of discomfort, like air hunger, can be very helpful because you are teaching your body and your mind to relax while feeling uncomfortable. So once more, inhale through the nose. Very gently and softly exhale. This exercise can be practiced for up to 4 minutes. It may feel uncomfortable for you. This is the first time you've breathed this way, but with time and practice, learning to breathe light is going to help increase blood flow to the brain, stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the largest nerve in the body, which looks after all our organs, relaxes your body and relaxes your mind. So that is an example of breathing light, just using your finger. I'd like to move you on to the next exercise, which is called breathing deep. Now, again, you may never have breathed deep into your lungs before. And again, this is about self-awareness. Another way of thinking about breathing deep is breathing low. So many of us will breathe from our upper chest, short, sharp breaths. What I'd like to try with you now is to get you to focus on breathing into the base of the lungs. So what I'd like you to do, you're sitting up, place one hand on your chest and the other one on your belly, like so. Closing your eyes and gently inhale through the nose like you've been doing and softly exhale. You should feel no movement on the chest. You should just feel the tummy slowly moving in and out. This is going to help you engage your diaphragm and improve that BOLT score. And it's really helpful for sleep, optimizing your state of mind, and improving your physical movement. So with your hand on your chest and your other hand on your belly, take a soft inhale through the nose and gently exhale. Notice your breath. Pay close attention to how your body feels under your hands. Gently breathing into the belly, so fill the lungs from the base. Even if you've never done this before, go with the flow. Your one hand that is on your belly should gently rise with each inhalation and descend with each exhalation. There should be very little movement on the chest. Breathe softly, quietly, gently. As you breathe in, your belly will rise. And as you breathe out, your belly will fall. Well done, everyone. That's an exercise that you can do up to 4 minutes every day. It's the second pillar of functional breathing. So we've done breathing light, softly on the finger. We've done breathing deep, getting you familiar with breathing into the base of the lungs where the tummy will move. And now we're going to do the third pillar, which is breathing slow. And to help get into a rhythm, I'm going to give you a timed verbal cue so you can breathe with me. Now, you're not necessarily going to breathe this way all the time, but it is a way to help downregulate the nervous system. So if you are in a situation where you're starting to feel the stress levels rise, you can take the 4-6, which is what I call it, the 4-6 breathing, to keep you nice and calm. I'm going to pop my timer on. So you can put your hands on your knees now. You don't need to keep it on your body, unless, of course, you feel comfortable like that. That's absolutely fine. What we're going to do is gently breathe in for 4 seconds, and then we're going to softly exhale for 6. So you're extending your exhale. Now, typically, when we breathe in, we create pressure in the body, and that can be a stressor. Not in a negative way, it's just the way the body functions. But when you can extend your exhale, you are actually instigating a relaxer mode. And that's going to shift you from that fight or flight action stations feeling, where you're starting to feel a little bit hyper aroused, into parasympathetic, where you can have more control because you are less reactive. So join me now. Shoulders are relaxed, eyes are closed if you wish. Just breathe normally for me, in and out through your nose. Just get comfortable, give yourself a moment. And I will count you in. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bring your breathing back to normal. That is just a simple technique that you can use, even if it's 90 seconds. It's going to help bring you back into a state of equanimity in the body. So we've done the unblocking exercise. We've done breathing lighter using our finger. We've done breathing deep, feeling us breathing into the base of the lungs and the rib cage moving as you inhale and exhale. And we've slowed our breathing down. So those three, although this is just a short taster, with practice can make a huge impact on your long-term breathing habits. The next exercise I'd like to do with you is what I would call a breathing recovery exercise, which is particularly good for a number of reasons. If you struggle to fall asleep at night, do this exercise for 10 minutes before going to bed, and it will help get you into the first part of your sleep cycle. If you are actively training for something, perhaps you're running a marathon, or you love cycling, or you're climbing a mountain, whatever it is, whatever exercise you are doing, you can bolt this exercise onto the end as part of your breathing recovery, which is going to help the body restore itself. And of course, if you are in a stressful situation in the office and you just need a moment to reset, this exercise will help shift your state of mind. So again, sitting nice and comfortably, shoulders are relaxed, feet are comfortably on the floor. I'll just explain what we're going to do. You're going to take a normal breath in and gently exhale. Then you're going to hold your breath for 5 seconds and breathe normally in and out through your nose for 10 seconds. So I like to call this the 5-10. So hold for 5, breathe normally for 10. Hold for 5, breathe normally for 10. I will count you in so you can close your eyes and relax into it. So when you're ready, sitting comfortably, just breathing normally in and out through your nose, giving the body a moment to relax. Take a gentle inhale and softly exhale. Hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go of your nose and breathe normally for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take a normal breath in and gently exhale. Hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe normally for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take a normal breath in. Gently exhale. Hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe normally for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take a normal breath in and gently exhale. Hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe normally for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take a gentle breath in and gently exhale. Hold your breath for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe normally for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keeping your eyes closed if they are. Allowing your body to settle. Mind is calm. Breathing is calm. This exercise will help you take control of your mind and your emotions, and will actively deliver more oxygen to your brain and take your attention away from overthinking. So those are a taster selection of just some of the many exercises that you can learn to improve your breathing habits. Again, we did the nose unblocking. We did the breathing light, breathe slow, breathe deep, and the breathing recovery exercise. I'm often asked about more extreme breath work. What I would say to everyone is, if you enjoyed what you did today, it's important to get your functional day-to-day breathing up to speed, get it right, feel comfortable, and then you can layer on the more advanced breath work exercises, longer breath holds, which I'm very happy to share with you afterwards. So in conclusion, why is breathwork such a valuable tool? It's going to strengthen your immunity, improve sleep quality, reduce anxiety and stress, enhance performance, improve your blood circulation and lung health, increase your energy levels, regulate your hormones, improve concentration and focus, enhance creativity, and create a deeper awareness of yourself, how your body and your mind works, which is hugely empowering. These are just a few lovely things that clients have said, which some of you might find helpful. I've worked with clients who've had COVID, severe insomnia. One of my clients swam the English Channel last year, and I helped him with his breathing. And of course, we all dealing with several levels of anxiety and stress over the last few years. So being able to have some control and actually be able to find calm and focus in our day-to-day is going to help in terms of feeling more energized, more confident, more relaxed, more able to take on the tasks at hand. If you'd like to work with me, I am delighted to do a couple of programs. I do breathwork tasters, similar to what I've done today, which I find is particularly helpful for engaging senior management who will be the decision makers within the team in terms of putting in practice a workplace well-being program. Because you don't know what you don't know, but when you do know, that's going to inspire change, I believe. I also offer group programs online and in person. I do live retreats, workshops in nature, and I provide one-to-one support. And if you'd like to get in touch, I know Warren and Amy are going to share my details. I'm very active on LinkedIn and on Instagram. You can see me in action. And I invite you to breathe with me. And I thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Tracey. So back to you, the audience and participations in the webinar. Currently, there are no questions for Tracey, but does anybody have any questions for Tracey? Tracey, while people maybe think of some questions, I'd like to thank you for a very insightful, informative, and yet also very practical session. With the 4 specific exercises built in there: breathing light, breathing deep, the 4-6, and the 5-10. Great exercises that, as I said, when I undertook your program, I think the benefits I saw were the calmness and the more focused approach was just treating my nervous system with kindness, I think, was probably how I best describe it. And the improvements were very quick and still live with me today. So yes, thank you for that presentation. We do have a question from Sam. Do you have any exercises to help for when you're feeling sluggish and tired?
I do, Sam. Actually, I had an extra exercise in for today, but we didn't have the time to do it. A very good one to help focus you is called box breathing. And that is where you create a state of relaxed alertness. So if you are feeling like you need that oxygen boost to the brain, what you do is you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. And that cycle you do for 2 minutes. So in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And just to tell you, that exercise is used by Navy SEALs pre-combat. So believe me, if it feels like that at your office, that's definitely going to help you. Yeah.
Box breathing is brilliant, isn't it? It's one of the things, if I wake up in the morning and I'm feeling kind of particularly anxious or particularly kind of perhaps stressed about the day ahead, then it's one of the exercises that I do, that you taught me, that I do because I think it does reset your nervous system quite quickly and give you that boost of energy, doesn't it, Tracey?
It does. And actually, I will say on box breathing, they did a study at Stanford University where they invited lecturers to incorporate box breathing before starting lectures with students. So that all those students would arrive, and you could do this actually with your team, Sam. You know, if you're part of a team, you could start your day and do 2 minutes of box breathing. It gets everybody on the same page. You have to be present because you're holding your breath for 4 seconds. But it gives you, as Warren said, that oxygen boost to the brain, which is essential for keeping you sharp and focused. So I'd highly recommend that as an alternative from the relaxing ones we did today.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tracey. So just with a few minutes to go, let's wrap up. So my question for all of you that have attended, what exercise worked well for you? Which was the one that you're going to commit to do? What are you going to do differently from attending? Perhaps write it down, commit to it, tell someone else, be accountable. Being accountable really does work, you know. So if you've enjoyed this webinar and want to know more about Evolve, then please do go to evolvemembers.com. Please also don't forget to listen to the Evolve to Succeed podcast. If you just put into Google Evolve to Succeed podcast Tracey Howes, it will appear. So you'll be able to find that episode where Tracey talks about a bit more about her own journey and how she found breathwork, but the importance of it as well. So please do go have a listen to that episode as further content from this morning. There's going to be an extension of the events for the festival later in the year in September and October. We're wrapping up the festival with 2 more events today, but then we'll pause it for the summer while everybody has their summer holidays and come back in September, October. So therefore, if you register your details with Evolve or you wish to contact myself or Amy, I will make sure you're on the list to be told of when those dates are set for September and October. So to really wrap up, some thanks. Firstly, and once again to Basingstoke and Dean Borough Council for fully funding the festival and thereby ensuring that all of the events to attend are free. The economic development team are really keen. They're the ones that we've collaborated with throughout. They're the ones that have engaged with us. They're really keen, as I said right in the opening, to get that engagement with business and support business. So their details are on the screen now. They'd love you to connect with them, and they'd love to hear from you about, you know, what more they could do to support business in the Basingstoke-and-Deane conurbation. To Enterprise South for your collaboration across the entire festival. It's been great working with you. To Tracey, I have to say thanks once again. As I said, you know, for me, it's about that. Why are we doing it? What are the benefits? And understanding it. Maybe it's my logical mind needs to know that as well as the practical. And you delivered that really well today. And it was a great webinar. So thank you, Tracey. And then finally, a huge thanks to everybody that's joined us today for this webinar and for supporting us throughout the festival. I hope you've enjoyed that hour. I hope it's made a difference to you. And thank you, and have a great rest of your days. Thank you.
Thanks, Warren. Thanks, everybody.